How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another day here on the Ivan build. It is a rainy day, but that's okay because we're gonna be working inside the bus. What I want to be doing is working on this fridge cabinet right here that we built out in the last episode. Get the wiring run back to the corner where we're gonna be doing our electrical system. And then I actually want to wire up a 30 amp system in this bus, get it all kind of put together so we can actually get this thing plugged in or running off a generator and getting that all in. So first things first, get started on this cabinet, get the wiring done, and then we'll move on to that 30 amp hookup. This video is sponsored by Jackery Solar Generator. Stay tuned to find out how you can get 15% off their entire store during Jackery Explorer Week. This is definitely not going to be one of those like really fun outside days going in and out of the bus carrying wood materials. It's just raining. It's all good. Cut all the pieces for what I'm going to be boxing out the inside of the cabinet. So when this was inside the bus, you saw the wheel well right here, and now what I'm going to be doing is finishing out the inside, and then that will give us the opportunity to install our drawer slides, where I'm going to be putting the chest fridge that will get installed in the upper part of this cabinet. It's going to be pretty tight inside this spacing. There's not much room to play. I think I have about 19 inches above where the slide's going to be, and the fridge is 18, I think 18 3/4. So there's going to be about a 1/4 inch spacing when it finishes sliding. Very tight spaces, but we're also working in a really small bus, so every little 1/4 inch counts. But what I'm going to be doing now is pretty much putting this guy in here, and hopefully it stays put. But we'll just simply box out this part, give ourselves a nice little finished inside of the cabinet, and then we'll move on to the next part. Alright, well, I was pretty much just cursing myself because I just finished building everything for this cabinet part, and when I measured this right here, I don't know, I think it's just going to be too close. So when I measure it on this location from here to here, it's like an eighth inch. I just don't feel comfortable enough now that this thing's done and I actually got the final measurements to keep moving along with this, because with an 1/8 inch spacing on that slide, I mean, if there's just a little bit different in the manufacturing of the fridge, like something like a bump on the top or little ribs or a handle or just anything that I'm not accounting for, or if for some reason the drawer slides are not positioned perfectly and you might have a little bit of like an 1/8 inch loss somewhere, it's not going to fit. And I don't have the fridge yet at this current point. It's still coming to arrive. So I can't test fit it. In terms of safety, what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to not put this top piece on. And I'm just going to go ahead with sealing the sides, because I was thinking about this. If you're looking at the cabinet like this and the wheel well's here, it already has a top plate on it, so it will look finished, but the actual drawer slide is going to be almost touching this top, so that if pretty much the drawer's sliding here and this is finished, when you look at the cabinet, it's going to look completely finished, like, wow, that's an inside of a cabinet. It's finished. And then when you pull the drawer out, you still won't see the wheel well, which means it's still a finished cabinet. Woohoo! And then when it pulls out all the way, it will give me the maximum spacing, and it's actually going to give me another 1/2 inch for where the fridge will be coming out, which in the end, I'd rather be safe than sorry later and give myself that 1/2 inch, and you're never going to see that piece anyway. So before I screw this together, I think I want to take it into the bus, take a look at it, check those measurements one more time, and if so, I'm just going to screw this together, and then we can start building out the slide. Fingers crossed everything keeps going as planned, with slight adjustments. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, just looking at it, just hanging out in here, just looking at it, pretty sure I might just cut this top cap off. I mean, that gives me another 1/2 inch. And right below it is just spray foam covering the wheel well. Doesn't matter. Yeah, maybe we'll just do that. We'll just get rid of this top plate completely. Gives ourselves even more space. Once again, the actual cabinet you'll see will be completely finished and you'll never notice it. And I'm all about maximizing space, you know, we might as well. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go get the oscillating saw and just cut the wheel well right there, remove this top cap, then we'll get some measurements. And I think we're gonna be a lot happier with those than the original plan, which was only an inch difference, but that's a lot. This wheel well was put together about, we'll say 5 months ago, and Dale and Luke were still around during that point. So I'm really wondering if I open this up, if they like left some type of note in here, or left some tools in here, or who knows what we're gonna find under here. Hoping it's just spray foam, but you never know. Nope, just spray foam. I've got to say, I'm pretty well known on build projects to leave hidden things behind stuff, so actually, no, we're even good on the back of this. But pretty much every project I work on, I like to do things like write things in walls, or I'm doing like drywall in a house, I'll leave notes behind the wall, because eventually someone might renovate it, and they might find what's behind it. So, nothing in here but spray foam, but it's all right. Okay, so I got the cabinet back together, and I'm definitely liking this a lot better. This is just, the measurements are working out. It looks a lot cleaner. And if you're wondering why, like, I've got the wheel well here, which is, you know, 1/2-inch birch framed out. The spray foam was sprayed into that, and now I'm putting this outside casing. The reason why I'm doing that is because the wheel well isn't actually square at all. The reason why is because when I originally did the spray foam, way back when we did spray foam, I didn't put bracing in, so the spray foam expanded a bit. Obviously, spray foam expands, and it pushed the actual birch out because it wasn't strong enough without bracing, so it kind of curved on this side. The front side's kind of curved, so I've had to account for that now. So I'm just framing it out like this so that we're actually going to end up with square areas in here, so that if I ever want to put a shelf down here or use any of this space, I'm going to be using dimensional square corners, just normal stuff, rather than dealing with the curve and having to scribe it. And that's why I'm putting these here, but I think it's all gonna work out, so I'm gonna see, maybe we can get this all screwed together and then move on to the actual drawer that will go in there and hold the fridge. Got the cabinet done right here, so now we can actually move on to the slides. And Dalton showed up today. He came on by and was asking if he could help out around the build, and of course I said yes. Thanks, Dalton, for coming by. He's going to be working over on the back office, getting the doors in. Those back doors are going to look pretty much just like this kitchen. Seeing how these turned out, I'm pretty sure he's going to do a pretty good job on those. How's it going?
Pretty good. First of the hinges.
First of the hinges. I like to hear that. All right, I'm going to get to this drawer slide. Well, we got the drawer in for the fridge. Each hinge is a 100-pound hinge. The fridge is only 40 pounds, so this is gonna be more than strong enough to support the fridge. But it's gonna be really nice to see this whole thing done. Open up the cabinet door, and then you just kind of get this push lock. These hinges are push lock hinges, so they're made to actually hold it in, so the way that the fridge is gonna stay locked is I'm probably gonna put an extra lock in here just in case a really big turn happens. I do think a safety is worth it, just because, you know drivers on the road. Sometimes you have to make a sharp turn. The next thing that I'm gonna be doing, working on this, is gonna be getting the electrical line through that back corner down into the back area, so that it would eventually be the plug-in for the fridge. And Dalton just got the first cabinet up here all done. So, woohoo! Man, 3 more to go. What do you think about those other 3? They can be as easy as that one?
No, gotta work with this like big gap here and a little gap here.
All the wires are now in this back part of the couch where eventually what we're calling is like the solar cabinet, but I'm not actually gonna be putting a solar system in this bus at this current moment. I did run a long time ago a solar wire to the roof with a combiner box, but there's no panels on the roof. And I've run the 30 amp, 12 volt and 120 wires here, but we don't have any batteries, inverters, or anything like that. It's because during this year, I'm not actually gonna be traveling too much. I do have 2 trips planned. One is gonna be out to Colorado, and then we're gonna be having another one heading down back to Florida. But for the most part, this bus is actually gonna be staying here in the Adirondacks with me because I have a couple other projects. My sister's building a rig, and there's really no point, in my opinion, to be putting this massive, expensive solar system in when I'm really not gonna have any use for it this year anyway, and the money and costs are just gonna be sitting here. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm actually gonna be installing a typical RV system, which is gonna plug in through the 30 amp plug on the outside. It will then go into this box that I just held up, and then we can run our 120 and 12 volt system through a converter. So pretty much this bus will only be powered through either a generator, plugging into a residential plug, or a 30 amp hookup at an RV park, which doesn't really bother me too much because I have a generator which can power this entire rig, and I'm just gonna be bringing that along with me if I do go on trips. But when I'm stationary, I'll just run off of a plug or the generator for the time being. So we will be putting a solar system in this in the future, you know, more towards the end of the year when I'm actually gonna be living and traveling full-time off-grid and all of the build projects are gonna be done for a while. But for now, we're just gonna be installing this simple unit right here. And since we're talking about different types of systems, such as a traditional RV system or large solar systems, I wanted to share with you a little bit about today's video sponsor, the Jackery solar generator, because that might actually be an option for a lot of you out there and can solve a lot of this problem and wiring a huge solar system problem. The Jackery solar generator system is an all-in-one unit which can give you power wherever you want, whenever you want it. Now, they have multiple different products in their product line, from their smallest unit, the 160, all the way up to their newest, the 1500. So right here I have the 240 unit, but the Jackery 1500 actually is about twice the size, maybe even 3 times the size of this one, and it has 1488 watt hours of power. Now, it's an all-in-one unit, which essentially means that it has its inverter, its DC, AC panels, all that kind of stuff, charging ports, charge controllers. It's all inside of here, which essentially means that all you need is this and a solar panel, and you're good to go to get power wherever you want. Now, the 1500 is able to power around 85% of appliances that you're gonna have in your rig, which means it's gonna give you a lot of power where and when you want it. Now, when I head out on the trip to Colorado in about a month, when Ivan is completed, I will be bringing along my 240 and I'll be bringing the 1500. And the reason why these are really awesome units for me, on top of the system that we're gonna be putting here in Ivan, is that these are gonna be portable units. So when my sister comes and she's living in her Jeep, or my other sister comes with her van, which doesn't have a system in it currently, I can use these Jackery systems to charge up off of my bus or off of the solar panel, and then I can let them use these, which will give them full power on their rig during this trip. So if you're interested in getting a Jackery 1500, 240, or 160, you can check out all the links in the description and learn how you can get 15% off from May 17th to May 19th. And also, if you're interested in playing the Lucky Game, which is over on their website, they are currently running a promotion where you can win $4,000 in Jackery products. But check out all the links in the descriptions, and thank you once again to Jackery for sponsoring this video. Hey, Dalton.
Ew.
Looks like you got that almost done.
Almost.
How do they go?
How do they go? They go like this, open and close. One screw here, one screw loose there.
While he's finishing up those doors back there, I'm gonna get to putting in that 30 amp box and figuring out how exactly I'm gonna wire this up and put it on in there. Inside the back bed, I got kind of my casing made for where I'm gonna be putting the electrical system. I'm gonna try to tuck all the wires, even if they're not gonna be used at this point, such as like we were talking the MPPT and some of the other ones that are back here. We're not gonna be using those, or MPPT, the solar wire that's going to the MPPT in the future. So I'm just gonna tuck it over here to the side, but I'm gonna try to keep it all inside this box, because then that gives me this as storage. So if I wanted to put things here for now, I'll be able to, but in the future, I can tell you that this entire space will be taken up with batteries and inverters and things like that. And it'll be really easy to kind of take this box out and then rewire it all right there. I did want to say one thing with this, because I know I said that this is only going to run off of a generator, a 30 amp, or like a residential plug. And that's not necessarily true, because I can modify this unit right here, where this can actually take the converter and I can plug it into a battery, and then we can actually charge a battery that whenever I'm not plugged into a 30 amp plug or something, I'll still be able to use the 12 volt system. It just won't run any of the 120 system because I don't have an inverter. So that's just a little clarification from before. I don't currently have a battery, but I might put one when we go to Colorado in that couch and just jumper it in, just so that we have some off-grid power for just, you know, maybe 100 amp hours or something, just minimal, just for LED lights, puck lights, things like that. This entire component unit that I'm doing right now, it only costs, I think the total costs were only around like $250 to $300 to get these components. So really, if you think about it, instead of spending like $8,000 on a solar system, I'm gonna be spending about $300 to get this up and running, and then I might have to pick up a battery just to get a little off grid. But this is kind of like, you know, maybe not the perfect system. It's not gonna be everything that I'd want it to be, or maybe you'd be looking for in your build. But if someone out there is looking to kind of just hit the road, get on out there, you know, wants to get on the road by the summer, and you just don't have the money for a solar system, or you just, you know, don't know what to do, or it's a little just too confusing, this might be a really good option to save money and time and just get on out there. Because the most important thing is not that you can turn your lights on, it's that you're traveling and you're going to the places you want to go to. This might be a really good inexpensive option for some people out there. Of course, as with the Jackery and everything else, everything is linked down below, so you can go check out all the resources from this video. But yeah, this is what I'm doing here, and the fun thing is eventually we're gonna have another video on the solar system. I just installed this 30 amp breaker right here. It is directly in between the 30 amp plug outside and what will eventually be, in our case, the 120 panel. In solar systems, it's either gonna be like a inverter charger transfer, like the Multi Plus, or this would go into like a transfer switch, which then, you know, go out into your system. But the one thing I want to point out is this box right here. This box is a 30 amp breaker. If you were doing a 50 amp, it'd be a 50 amp breaker. But what this breaker is here for is specifically just to stop any type of surge that would come from an RV plug, a residential plug, if your generator, whatever. If it sends a surge through, it is not going to go all the way through to your expensive inverters and transfer switches. It's gonna stop right here at the breaker. So this is a really important safety to put in to make sure that you're protecting all the rest of your components. Now I know that what we're installing right here is not necessarily very expensive components, but you could imagine that if you had like, you know, a couple $1,000s worth of solar components here, this little breaker could save a lot of the system if for some reason something shorted, you know, outside of the rig and it just came right through your plug. Definitely, if you don't have one of these, think about installing one. If you do have one, cool, your system's safe. But now that I have this guy in here, I'm gonna get the rest of the box put in and start getting it kind of final installed, so then we can start looking at the actual wiring and what needs to be done next. Too. What?
Doesn't seem like anything's scraping.
No, that looks really good. Dang.
Well, glad that didn't take too long.
As it literally took all day.
What's next?
That face? Are you up for it?
I'm up for it. It's a square, right?
Yeah, it's quick, just a square. It's just a
that.
square. It happens really fast, doesn't it?
Oh, every time.
It never just takes that long. If it happens to you, it definitely happens to us here. It's just we edit the videos a little faster so we don't, all sit here and watch us screw a cabinet together for 5 hours. Is that accurate?
That's pretty accurate. We're doing hinges on this one?
Yep.
Same kind of one of these guys?
Yep, same as the kitchen.
Fun, fun, fun.
Second verse, same as the first. So I just got all of my back plugs in here for my 120. This is gonna be where the 30 amp goes in. These are where the 120s go in. And then all of my 12 volts will get connected to here. This is also where I just mentioned before, where the battery positive and negative can go. So this can actually go out to a battery, which can then you know, charge it up, and then I'll have a little bit of 12 volt power running the 12 volt system. But there is no inverter in here, so none of the 120 will actually work at that point. In this particular model, I'm sure that you can get a bigger model with an inverter in it at that point, but then I would probably just go with the whole solar system in my case. So I'm gonna see if this guy fits, make sure it goes in, and see what it looks like. I got my 120 lines through, I got my 30 amp wire through, and then I just tied up all of my 12 volt wire back here so that it's just kind of sitting here waiting to go. The next thing on the list with this kind of whole system right here is going to be going through all of the 12 volt parts, continuity test them, making sure that I have it all labeled correctly so I can get it wired in, and then I know exactly which fuse is which. And then I have to get some breakers for the 120 system to put into this spot. Then we can wire the 120 system in. And then pretty much, as we said before, if we have a generator, 30 amp or 120 plug, the system will work. And then eventually I can add a battery, which will then give us some 12 volt, you know, off-grid capabilities. And then eventually, we will just kind of take the whole system, rebuild it into a full off-grid solar system, add panels to the roof. But we'll do that later, probably in the fall, once we finish up, you know, some of the other build. Rachel's gonna have a build, my other sister might have a build, and you know, they've been helping me on this project so much, it's only right that I'm gonna help them on theirs before we, you know, really head out there and go do something. Dalton's finishing up this cabinet, so I think what I'm gonna do is leave the electrical for another time, help him finish up this drawer, and then we can at least get everything kind of tied up. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking this door should be square, but it's not square. I don't know why.
All right, we'll take a look at it. Well, Dalton.
Well, Michael.
I think you did it. Dalton just got this drawer face done, so just needs some adjustments. All of this is done now, so that's pretty awesome. But I just want to say thank you to Jackery for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to subscribe and check out more build videos, you can do that right on over here. And as always, I want to say thank you to everyone over on Patreon. But I think in the next one, I don't know what we're going to do, Dalton. What do you think we should do?
Oh, we'll feel it out.
Yeah.
Come in and see how we're feeling.
I think we're going to keep going on the electrical a little bit, and maybe we'll start in the countertop right here and get this guy installed, and really start to see what all the furniture is going to look like in this thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.